I've decided to take another delve into the realm of talking about an obsession of mine while trying to make it the least amount of animation work for myself. So let's talk about Sonic the Hedgehog, a video game franchise that's the definition of too powerful to die. Considering how much there is in terms of games, media, and other, and I do mean other, it should be no surprise that Sonic has had a lot of hit or miss over the years. Sometimes his stuff can even get into lost media territory, which is what I plan to talk about in this video. I don't really have any categories to divide this stuff into, and this isn't even an iceberg. I literally just went onto the Lost Media Wiki, searched up Sonic the Hedgehog, and picked out as much as I could. So break out a chili dog, and let's begin. Shadow the Hedgehog, early cut. Oh, 2005's Shadow the Hedgehog, known for being over-the-top edgy and kinda sorta tarnishing the reputation of one of the most beloved Sonic characters ever. While the version we know today is quite out the edge, as it were, the original version of the game is known to be quite more mature, its initial rating meant to be T for teen. It was changed when the ESRB came out with the Everyone 10+ rating, and hoping the game would be more marketable that way, Sega toned down the game to hit the new rating. From what we know, the original cut of Shadow the Hedgehog was more graphic, with the opening cutscene featuring 2 soldiers getting shot on screen, and Maria's death in a CG cutscene being visible, instead of just cutting to white when the soldier shoots. The black arms and soldiers when shot would have been bleeding red in-game, but the E10+ rating changed the color to green for the black arms, and no longer visible for the soldiers. On the other side of the coin, according to Jason Griffith, the voice actor for Sonic and Shadow for the game, he recalled recording lines for Shadow the Hedgehog that actually censored the language used, such as darn instead of damn. However, the stronger language remains in-game, probably because Sega knew they could get away with it. There were rumors in the past that the Japanese version of the game is the darker version, but this is not true. All we currently have left of the earlier cut is a few clips of the opening cutscene. Archie comics changed storylines. Without a doubt, one of the longest pieces of Sonic-related media was the comics published by Archie, with the initial series running from 1993 to 2017 for a total of 290 issues. It's known as the longest-running video game comic ever. The series was only cancelled due to Archie's contract with Sega expiring with no plans of renewal, leaving many of the storylines in limbo. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the changed storylines in the initial series and the sister series Sonic Universe, due to a lawsuit by one Ken Penders. Penders was an artist for the Archie comics from 1994 to the mid-2000s, and is known for making a lot of original Echidna characters, among others. Without getting too deep in the details, at one point, after Penders had been gone from Archie for a few years, he filed a lawsuit against Archie for using the characters he created for the comic in the years that he was gone, as his contract never stipulated anything regarding rights to those characters. Penders ended up winning, regaining the rights to his characters, and the comics had to be quickly changed from then on, starting with the arc Endangered Species and Chaotix's quest in Sonic Universe. Evidence of Endangered Species being changed includes dialogue changes in issue 243 regarding specific Echidna factions, and the covers of 244 and 245 being changed to omit the characters Julie Sue and Leenda respectively. The story itself also had to be changed to omit all the Penders characters completely via a character named Thrash, sending them all to a different dimension. I'm not joking, that's what happens. According to comic writer Ian Flynn, had the lawsuit not happened, Endangered Species would have actually had a happy ending. In terms of Chaotix's quest, the first 2 parts of the story had to be rewritten to omit characters Robbo the Hedge and his wife Marianne, getting replaced by new characters who explained that Robbo and Marianne just disappeared unexpectedly. Robbo was even supposed to appear on the cover of issue 47, but was omitted and swapped for a completely different cover. In a similar vein, though this was actually a cancelled storyline, the 50th issue of Sonic Universe was meant to be a semi-official finale to the show Sonic Underground, and would have featured Sonic and his siblings finally reuniting with their mother and taking down Robotnik. Due to the team not being allowed to use anything relating to Sonic Underground, this story was scrapped and replaced with a story about Metal Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog 2020 Original Version. If you were a Sonic fan in 2019, you definitely remember the horror of the original Sonic design for the 2020 Sonic the Hedgehog movie. After intense backlash, the filmmakers decided to go back and redesign Sonic entirely, even getting comic artist Tyson Hesse for support. That said, while we did get the redesign, and I will say it definitely made the 2020 movie a better experience, this does technically mean the version of the movie with the original design is lost media, since a good majority of the movie was animated with the original design before the call for the redesign was made. In terms of existing footage, we do have the original trailer and some deleted scenes. Sonic, Wonders of the World. I actually plan on making a video on this in the future, so I'll try to keep it brief. Sonic Wonders of the World is a cancelled concept for a Sonic the Hedgehog movie that dates back to the mid-90s. It was a collaboration between Sega, MGM, and Trilogy Entertainment. The plot would have been about a middle schooler named Josh accidentally bringing both Sonic and Robotnik into the real world via his dad's advanced AI computer. Josh and Sonic team up to find the Chaos Emeralds so they can take Robotnik down and send him back into the video game. The film was cancelled early on due to creative differences, and all we have of the concept is part of a film treatment written by screenwriter Richard Jeffries. Sister Sonic. No, this has nothing to do with Sonic's twin sister Sonia from Sonic Underground. Sister Sonic was actually a Sonic-themed reskin of the JRPG Pop Full Mail. In a similar vein to Mario Bros. 2 in the West being a Doki Doki Panic reskin, Sister Sonic would have replaced all the characters of Pop Full Mail with Sonic characters, with Sonic's sister taking the part of the main character Mail. It was announced in 1993 by Electronic Gaming Monthly magazine that Sister Sonic would be unveiled at the Tokyo Game Show in Japan in June, and would be developed for the Sega CD. Upon the news, fans wrote angry letters to Sega, wishing for Pop Full Mail to not be altered at all and instead released as is. Due to the backlash, Sister Sonic was cancelled, and instead, Pop Full Mail released unaltered for the CD in Japan in 1994 and everywhere else in 1995, called Pop Full Mail Magical Fantasy Adventure. Sister Sonic never made an appearance at Tokyo Game Show, and it's unknown how much progress was actually made in the game before its cancellation. Sonic the Hedgehog Awakening. Sonic the Hedgehog Awakening is, well, we actually don't know what it is, or if it even exists. The only mention of this game at all was on the website of Pete Capella, the voice actor for Silver the Hedgehog from 2006 to 2009. While it could just be a development title for a different Sonic game, Capella's website also lists his credits for Sonic 06, Sonic Rivals, and Sonic and the Secret Rings. Awakening is also placed in between Sonic 06 and Rivals. As Capella is credited as voicing Silver in Awakening, some fans have speculated that despite the name, Sonic Awakening might have been a story based around Silver, or maybe even a tie-in with Sonic 06. Sonic X-treme. By far, one of the most infamous cancelled Sonic games is Sonic X-treme. It was meant to be Sonic's big 3D debut and his big game for the Sega Saturn, but went through development hell before eventually getting cancelled. X-treme started on the Genesis, then bounced around different consoles until it stuck with the Sega Saturn. Even then, game engines were being repeatedly swapped around. The team even attempted to use the engine for Nights into Dreams as a shortcut, until Yuji Naka threatened to quit Sega if they used the engine. There are 6 known builds of X-treme that are currently playable, 2 demos and 4 development builds. I won't go into detail on all of them, but I will bring up one as an example. The 718 demo build in particular features one level called Jade Gully, a title, pause, and game over screen, and more coherent gameplay than earlier builds. The demo also utilizes existing music and sound effects from Sonic CD, though we do have the official track for Jade Gully as well as boss themes and levels. Here are some snippets. In 2017, the lead artist of the game, Ross Harris, published a sprite sheet for Sonic, as well as 3D models of Sonic, Amy Rose, and various badniks. It's believed that the model for Sonic was eventually reused for the educational PC game, Sonic Schoolhouse. Sonic Adventure New Year's DLC. This may sound weird, but yes, Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast did in fact have DLC. It was exclusive to the Japanese version and related to New Year's 1998. Not much changed in-game, aside from traditional Kadomatsu plants being placed in parts of Station Square. The DLC was active from December 26th of 1998 to January 7th of 1999, before being removed entirely. This DLC was lost for quite some time due to being available for such a short time and only being available in the Japanese version of Sonic Adventure. Eventually, in November of 2019, a user on a Dreamcast emulation forum known as Moop the Hedgehog found the DLC on a Japanese memory card. The ROM was dumped and is now playable. Lost Sonic 1 ports. There are 2 different ports of Sonic the Hedgehog 1 that are considered lost. The first one is a Sega CD port of the game that was developed in 1992, with the only notable difference described being a new CD quality soundtrack. For unknown reasons, this port was scrapped, but eventually grew into Sonic CD. The second lost port of Sonic 1 is a port for the Commodore Amiga, scheduled to have been released in June of 1992. The reason for its cancellation is thought to be because of arguments between Sega and the port's publisher, US Gold. What little screenshots we have of the game showed that it did seem to be a basic port of Sonic 1, though no real playable version of the game exists. Sonic Boom 2013 livestream. When I say Sonic Boom, I don't mean the song from Sonic CD, nor do I mean the 2014 show or games. This Sonic Boom is a yearly Sonic the Hedgehog fan convention meant to be a place for fans of the franchise to mingle and learn more about upcoming Sonic games. The 2013 Sonic Boom convention was live-streamed in full via Live Alliance on behalf of Sega. While a VOD did exist for a short time afterward, no full VOD exists today. Of the 7 hours that were streamed, the current footage we have of it rounds up to about 12 minutes, not counting fan-recorded videos of the convention. There also exists multiple screenshots of the stream itself taken by fans. In addition, a fan simulcast was run on livestream.com in tandem with the stream by Live Alliance, though this too has been lost save for a few screenshots. It was believed for a time that Sega might have archived the stream themselves based on the recap video they made, which seemed to use some footage from Live Alliance's stream. However, 2 years after the event, Sega HQ switched locations, and as a result, it's believed that whatever archive they may have had was lost in the move. Sonic for mobile. Next are 2 cancelled Sonic mobile games. Following the success of the mobile ports of Sonic's 1, 2, and CD, Christian Whitehead and fellow developer Stealth made an attempt to create a mobile port of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. This was scrapped due to legal issues with Sonic 3 composer Brad Buxer, who didn't want his work to be featured in the port. It was later revealed that elements of this version would make their way into 2022's Sonic Origins. Contrasting, one mobile port that never saw the light of day was Sonic 4 Episode 3. Despite the negative feedback of Episodes 1 and 2 of Sonic the Hedgehog 4, an Episode 3 was planned and was set to be developed by Sega's Australian branch rather than previous developer Dimps. Unfortunately, the Australian studio went defunct after a short while, and this game was lost to the sands of time. There are no screenshots or even a logo for the game. Sonic 16. Sonic 16 was a cancelled Genesis game based off of the popular Saturday morning cartoon, commonly known as Sonic Sedan. Set by developer Chris Sen to be a sort of predecessor to Sonic Extreme, it would have been a much different take on the Blue Blur, with Sonic 16 being more of a beat-em-up style game and more story-driven to tie into the cartoon. The characters would have also been fully animated compared to simple sprites, and Sally Acorn was even set to make an appearance. The game was ultimately cancelled by Yuji Naka, likely for being so different compared to the traditional Sonic game. All we currently have of the game is a demo video from 1993, created by developers Pete Morwick and John Duggan, and uploaded by user MondoMole. Sonic 3D Blast Demo Tape. Sonic 3D Blast is widely regarded as a rough step for the Blue Blur in its transition to 3D. The game had 2 separate ports for the Genesis and the Sega Saturn, each with their own unique soundtracks. This entry relates to the OST for the Genesis version of the game. John Burton, the founder of Traveler's Tales, who developed 3D Blast, periodically released a demo tape of the game's soundtrack in October of 2019, with the last track being uploaded in February of 2020. Numerous tracks from the tape have been noticed to be repurposed for other Sonic games, such as the boss theme being reused for a separate boss theme in Sonic 4 Episode 1, and Knuckles' special stage music being reused for Twinkle Park in Sonic Adventure. Sonic OVA OST. We're ending this video with a personal favorite of mine. If you know Sonic the Hedgehog, you might be aware of the OVA that came out in 1996, with an English dub in 1999. As the title says, this is about the soundtrack from that movie, which, for a very long time, was never accessible in high quality. An official CD of the soundtrack was planned, but eventually scrapped due to poor sales of the OVA. In 2020, member Illuminor from the Russian Sonic fan community Sonic and All Characters realized that in a specific part of the OVA, the lyrics from the ending song Look-alike are sung completely different than the version heard in the credits. Specifically, in the scene where Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are headed to Robotropolis, the lyrics heard are in no documented version of the song out there, meaning a longer version of the song had to exist. The problem was, like I said, Look-alike has never had a full version officially released, though a short edit did make it onto a Best of Sonic the Hedgehog album. Digging deeper, Illuminor managed to get in contact with someone who worked on the OVA, asking them for a lyric sheet to the full song. The contact instead decided to go a step further and gave the complete, full version of Look-alike, which then got uploaded onto YouTube in August of 2020. In the comments for that video, fans wondered about getting more songs from the OVA soundtrack to be heard in clearer quality than what we have in the actual film. So Illuminor once again sought out the contact, asking for any master recordings they may have. What was delivered is instead believed to be an early demo recording of the soundtrack when it wasn't fully finished, as some songs are slightly different from how they're heard in the OVA. Among these songs are also several tracks believed to either be unused entirely, or from a completely different project that may have been worked on around the same time as the OVA. Either way, the demo recording has also been uploaded to YouTube in its entirety, and South Island goes just as hard as ever. There is so much more Sonic Lost media that I haven't covered here, and that's just because there's so much of it. If you're curious, I suggest going to the Lost Media Wiki or the Cutting Room Floor. go do research. Check it all out for yourself, because there is some insane stuff out there related to Sonic the Hedgehog. And that also reaches the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching this. This was a lot of fun to make. Yeah, leave appreciation if you want, and I will see you all in the next video. So, bye!